Okay. So you guys, can you hear me? Okay. So do you want to summarize what we have discussed in the yesterday session? Anyone of you? So in yesterday session, we discussed how to configure the Postman, and then yeah, then how to um, um, configure the variables and other stuff. Then we tested application by using Postman, how to call the Postman endpoints and everything we have seen. So there is lot in Postman, but as of now, like whatever we learned, that is enough to get start and go ahead. We'll see more and more in the um, coming sessions. Um, so today we are going to see the database part, so which is an essential part of your development. So as a developer, every application, whether it is a Windows application, web application, service oriented application, majority of your applications will be dealt with database. So basically your applications will create the data, delete the data, update and uh, manage the data. So what type of or what databases available in the current um, industry? So there are lot more databases available. So there are NoSQL databases, SQL databases. SQL means sequential databases. NoSQL means there will be no schema. So the NoSQL databases are Cosmos DB, MongoDB, um, and those are in the cloud. So, but we will deal with RDBMS. RDBMS means Relational Database Management System. So one of the popular database is SQL Server. So first of all, why you want to save data? So everything is data. So before computerization, if you go back to the legacy manner, so like people used to maintain the records in the notebooks. So if you go to any hotel, they'll have the daily wise check-in, check-out books. Register, we'll call it as a register. So they'll save the data, like who on which date, which time, who checked in and who checked out, like how much they paid, everything they write it in the notebooks. So the same when we are converting that into computerization, the databases are taking part of our registers. So you're storing your data into databases. So databases will have tables and other stuff. So now we are talking about RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. But before RDBMS, what kind of data the computer uses to store? So can you see this notepad? So before databases, before actual databases, RDBMS databases or any schema databases, the computers used to store data like this. So by looking at this, what you understand? Can you interpret the data? What data it is? So before the schema databases, RDBMS databases, the computers they used to store data in a file system like this. So here the problem with this approach, like who are writing this data, they can only know the data. So I am writing, I wrote this data, so I know the first part is number, second part is name, third part is his address, fourth part is some contact number. Okay, so first of all, the disadvantages with this kind of data storage mechanism, the person who is writing, they only understand the data. And second part, here I used comma as a delimiter. So even the delimiter is sometimes makes confuse, or it will give the wrong data. In UK, few people they'll have comma as part of their name. So delimiter also, it's not giving the accurate results when the data is complex. And third thing is, like the file will be like the file will contain all the records one by one. Suppose there are 10 million records and a single file contains all the 10 million records. And if you want to search, the name starts with U. What you have to do, you have to go through all the 10 million rows. So there is no way, because this data is not organized well, this data is not put it into a meaningful, this data not converted into a meaningful data, this information not converted into a meaningful data. So then the RDBMS relational databases came into the picture, and that simplified the data storage and data design. So when the RDBMS came, database design become one of the important part of your project. So you define the database, you design the database well, so that your application will perform well. How you make this sentence, like how it is true? I'll give an example. If you go to library, any of the public library, what you will see? In the public library, what you will see? Hello? Hello? Yeah, I'm trying to explain the importance of database design. So I'm saying, if you design the database properly, your application will perform well. So in your application development, database design is one important task. So everything, your development depends on the database design, how it looks. So how you support this statement? For that, there is a real-time example. If you go to library, any public library, what you will see? Right. So first of all, yes, first of all, you will see a big racks which hold the data, which hold the books, and all those books they categorized on various factors, like the genre they have, all the fictions, non-fictions, kids. Again within the fiction, either they order the books by the alphabetical name of the book, or alphabetical name by the author. So if they have a 10,000 books, organizing them will take time. Like, but why they are doing this? Because the organizing will be one time effort. Yes, that one time effort will help thousands of readers daily on the daily basis that simplify their effort. Assume I have 10,000 books and I kept it in one single row without any order and without any classification. And if I want to find a book, what I have to do? I have to go through all the 10,000 books. If luckily, if I get the book in the beginning, I am lucky. But if the book is at the end, I'll be I have to go through all the 10,000. So the library people, they spend time designing the library, classifying the books, uh, creating separate racks, and then putting all the books within the meaningful rack. That will take effort, but that simplifies the daily routine for the readers, and the readers job will be finished very quickly. So now whatever data you are storing into your database, you have to design them into a well categorized like the library and well classification, so that your application will quickly go to the database and pull as how you are going to library and pulling in the book whatever you want. The application will go to the database and pull the record whatever it required, and insert a record whatever it required, update the record whatever it required. Okay, so let's see. And yesterday I explained how to install SQL Server. So once you install SQL Server, so this SQL Server management system is the one which will be used to connect and organize your databases. So let's open this. Okay, so why? Yeah. So SQL Server Management Studio, we call it as. So I think I installed the latest version. So when you install, so first time, if this doesn't allow you to do, so there is a property always in the login. Yeah, just select this trust server certificate. By default, it will be uncheck. Just check it and you can connect. This is my server name. By default, the server will be created with your desktop name. So you can browse. Okay, if you don't find any local servers, you can browse, and even you can connect to network servers. So in your office, what you will do, you will connect to a network server, which will be there in the some remote server. And here I am using, there are two types of authentication: Windows authentication, SQL Server, MFA, all these. But I'll go with Windows authentication, and I'll say connect. So it's going to log in. Yeah, either it will be local or it will be with your computer name. Uh, and what happened? Why it is? Yeah, select this, connect. Okay, so this is your database instance, database service instance. So here you can have different um, folders. Um, so this is the server name, we call it as, and you can expand databases. So there are no databases defined. I'm hearing some noise. Can you mute? Okay. So these are like system databases and database snapshots, but I did not create any databases. So how to create a database? It's very simple. So database, new database. So what is this database? Database is a collection of tables and collection of other database entities like stored procedures, etc. So I'll say test underscore db. You can give whatever name you want. Okay, and you can say, so this is your database. So I can create n number of databases. I can create n number of databases. So the database will contain tables. So again, I did not create any table. So it contain views. So there are system views, table views, graph tables, etc. I can create the tables, and these are the views, folder, and in the programmability, you will have stored procedures and all other stuff. So how to create a database? So generally the database creation, and in most of the organizations, the database will have a DBA, but even we will see how to generate the scripts. And this SQL server is a script, like it's a SQL script, SQL queries. So how can I create a database by using query? So either you can create the component and then you can generate the script, or you can write the script on your own and you can execute. So I created already a database, and how can I generate a script from the created component? Right click on the uh, component, whatever you want to do. So tasks, um, script database as, okay. So this will generate a script, and this script can be used to create the database. So generally in development, what we will do, in development server, we create the components by using GUI, like the way I created. Then after that, we will generate the script, and we will use that script, and we'll check in that script to TFS or Azure DevOps, whatever the GitHub, whatever the data code base code repository we are using. So you can rename few things and you can execute, it will create the database. So how can I create the table? So right click on the tables, create a new table. So what is this table? What is this table? Table contains rows and columns, right? So I'll give a simple example to table. The register at the front office. If you go to any office, so the security will have a register. So where everybody will sign in, like the people who are uh, visiting that office, they will sign in. So what kind of information it contains? So it will have the serial number, it will have the name, contact number, from where you are coming, what is the purpose of your visit, whom you are visiting, uh, and check-in time, check-out time, and your signature, and some other remarks, right? So in this register, if you don't write your name, will that person allow you? If you don't write your contact number, will that person allow? And if you don't write anything in the remarks, will that person allow? Yes, remarks is not mandatory, but your name, your mobile number, sometimes purpose of the visit is also, it can be mandatory or it not mandatory, or the person whom you are visiting, it can be mandatory or optional, but few things are really mandatory and you have to key in those details, um, then only the record will become mandatory. And the register will contain data in a table format which contains rows and columns. So now I am going to create a table. So ID, So I'm going to define the structure of the table. So when you are designing the table, I'm going to define the structure of the table. So ID, it is a int. So you can use different data types. So int you can use, big int you can use, small int you can use. I'll use small int. Allow nulls, I'll remove. So when I say allow nulls, when I check the column, that means this particular field, the ID, will allow nulls. If I remove that, this ID will not allow any nulls. So name, here varchar 50. So generally for string names and other, you will use varchar. So the capacity is 50. And allow nulls I am removing. So remarks. So varchar 200, and this I am allowing nulls. And again I am going back to the register example. So the serial number, already the security guy, he will write all 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 numbers. Why? Because he know that these are increased by 1, and he is not giving a effort for the member who is writing the number. So anyway that he knows it's going to increase 1 by 1, so he already filled that column. So how can I do this? So here I can set this as a primary key. So once I set as it a primary key, there is a section called compound column specification. There is an identity specification. So here when I say identity specification yes, the identity increment will be 1, the seed will be 1. What does it mean? First of all, primary key nothing but it will identify the record uniquely within the table. So in your college or in your school or in your office, you will have a ID, employee number or student number. So the student number will be unique. If I say John, if I call John, multiple Johns might show up because John name can be replicated. John A will be there, John B will be there, John C will be there. But when I say student number 1, 2, 3, only one person will come because 123 rule number will be assigned to only one person. So that means similarly, the ID within the table, it will uniquely identifies a particular row in the table. And here I am making it as a identity specification. I am incrementing it by 1 and it will start from 1. And I did not give the name to my table. Just now save and TBL country. So do I need to really prefix all the tables with TBL? It's not mandatory, but just for readability, by looking at this, okay, this is TBL table, okay, and you can see the design or you can see the columns here. So ID, name, ID is small int, it's not null. Name is varchar 50, it's not null. Remarks varchar 200, it's null. Okay, so how can I insert a record? So you can do the select. So this is the query. It can be used to retrieve the data from your table, but I don't have any data. So now how can I insert? Edit top 200 rows. So here if I try to enter something in the ID, it will throw error because it's a primary key. Not only primary key, it's a auto generated key. It will start from 1 and it will increase 1 by 1. If I enter something here, even though 1, it will throw an error. I am unable to enter anything here. Okay. So now what I will do, India. So the remarks are not mandatory, I'll leave it empty. So see, one got generated. USA, UK. Okay, now I will enter a record without giving name, and I'll give something here, test. So can you read what is the error? The data in the row was not committed. Okay, the statement has been terminated. So why this happened? Because so your mandatory, yes, it's mandatory. If you miss the mandatory fields, it's not going to insert the data. Okay, so now, yeah. No. You will enter the data, and even I'm going to show how to generate the queries. Okay, so here, because these are master tables, can you see why it skipped 4? Because the previous record, it got inserted and deleted. It got inserted and immediately it got deleted. It did not commit. Earlier, without a name, the record get inserted and immediately the table triggers, it deleted it. So that's why you are seeing the 5. So if you want to again restart from 1, you can restart from 4, you can do that, but it's not an issue. So some records you will see like this. Okay, so now how to generate a query script table. Okay, so this is the script to create the table. So you can see here, create table, and these are the columns. So this is the column name, this is the data type, and this is identity. Okay, name varchar 20 not null, like this. Okay, and how to generate a select to. So this is a select statement, insert to. So I inserted data. So this is what people do. They'll insert the data manually in the development servers, and they will generate these queries. So if you want to insert a record by using a query statement, you can do like this. So in case of name, so here you are not going to insert anything into the ID. So name, so SQL Server will take single quotes. So remarks, okay. So you can, and as a .NET developer, you don't need to worry about the queries. We will, yeah, you should understand the basic syntax and all, but we'll mostly deal it from the application layer. Okay. So now I'm going to create another table. So this time it's ID small int. Yeah, we'll do that. Even we need the, No, even we need these tables to store the country, city, state. Somewhere you have to display, right? Small int varchar. So name, remarks, and so now this is a state table. So every state in the country, every state will contain a country, right? Every city will contain a associated state. So now this is called child table. So this is state table, which is child table, and the parent table would be country. So where you establish the relationship, where you are going to establish and say that this is country table, that is this is parent table, that is child table, and every record in this table is associated with this. So now I'm going to create a foreign key column. Okay, small int, and this is also not don't allow nulls. So I'm making this as a primary key, set as primary key, and go to identity. Okay, identity specification, yes, increment, and now this is primary key set. The id will identify the record within the state table, but where the relation I'm establishing. So now I'm going to establish a relationship. Right click on the table design. So there is a uh, tab called relationships. So add a relationship. You can add multiple relationships. So here I'm going to add a relationship. So tables and column specification. Okay. So here this is foreign key table and this is primary key table. So we did not name the table. That's why you are seeing it's table 1. So the ID would be here. So where is this? Yeah, here you have to select. Yes, just click on here. So here, this is the primary key table. So what is the primary key table? It's TBL country. And what is the column? It's an ID. So this table underscore 1 is the current table, and which column you are mapping it with the ID column within the TBL country. So I'm going to CID. So that means the CID in the current table is going to map with ID within the country table. Say yes, just close it. So now this CID is a foreign key and ID is a primary key. So just save TBL state. Okay, so now my TBL state got created. Again, I cannot enter anything in the ID. So TS. So this TS Telangana state is a state of which country? India, right? And what is the ID for India? It's 1. It's 1. So you can see 1 is India, 2 is US. So now this Telangana state is a child record for a record in the country table with ID 1. So what that ID 1? It's India. Okay, so just a second. Yeah. So now Texas. So the country ID is 2, USA. MS country ID is 2. Okay, so England 3, 3. Okay, yeah, this is what I'm going to show you. So I'm trying to insert a record in the state table and the country ID I gave 4 and it's denying inserting it. Why? Go back to your, so does your parent table contain 4? No. So that's why it's failing. So if I create a table, if I create a record which doesn't have a parent record, it's not going to allow. Okay, so we didn't skip the 4. We inserted a invalid record and it inserted and deleted the record. No. Again, you have to reset the identity. You have to reset the identity. But that's it not going to happen in your table in your day-to-day life. You will delete few records, you will insert few records. So it no need to be sequential. So sometimes you will delete the records when the data is. No. What is the purpose? It's not. It's not going to. The serial number not going to affect any of the uh, like position or any of the memory. Nothing changes. But there is a way you can reset the identity. But we generally don't do that. Okay. So China 1. I'm going to. Is it 5? Yeah. China 2. I don't know the states in China. Okay. So. Okay. So now, did you understand the um, way how the data integrated within the parent and child records? Okay, so there is another um, integrity. So edit. So I can delete Japan. How can I delete? I can just delete the record. And when I am trying to delete China, see what will happen. So it says you cannot delete because if you delete this record, these two columns will become orphanage. 8 and 9 will become orphanage. So if you want to delete this record, first come here and remove this data. Remove this data and then come here and remove this data. So the advantage with primary key foreign key is it will it will intact your data with a valid integrity. So without country, the state doesn't exist. Okay, so that's why the foreign key primary key relationship will make you integrate and couple the data as a one. Okay, any questions? So now your task is go and create another table, uh, city table, and that city table will be a child table for state. So country table is parent, state table is child, and again city table is child to state. Okay, and I'll see when you properly create with identity, the auto generated manner, and also the referential integrity. So whatever we have done, I'll ask you to show in your systems tomorrow. So please create a database table city, and after creating it, try with another example. So now I took country, state, city, three parent child relationship tables, right? So take another scenario. You can take the product category, product like that, or any another example which will take three levels: parent, child, and again child, and create the tables with the referential integrity and all. Okay. So is there any questions? And tomorrow we'll see how to connect this from application and pull the data and put it in your APIs or do something. Okay.